Hello, everyone, and welcome to this event on organ donation awareness, something we all know very little about but are very keen to. Maybe because we want a part of us to live even after we have left this earth physically. And who better to speak on this subject and tell us all about it than our esteemed speaker, Shruti Mohta. On behalf of Merit Management Association and Wordsworth Book Club, it's our utmost pleasure to welcome our guest speaker for today, Shruti Mohta.
Thank you.
Shruti Mohta has been actively promoting the cause of organ donation since 2016 and is the founder of Live King Size, Die King Size Foundation. A TED speaker on the subject, Shruti has been invited to speak at various organizations such as the Rotary in his centenary year and Chartered Accountant Institute on their platinum jubilee. Educational institutions such as the Bhawanipur College, GMIT, hospitals such as Apollo and Fortis, and organizations like the Ladies Table, Lions Club, and Saturday Club have had awareness events by her, and she has also spoken on television radio several times. The Honorable former President of India, Shri Pranab Mukherjee ji, was the chief guest at an event she played a key role in organizing and moderating. A poem recited by her on organ donation was played at all 44 INOS cinema halls across the state of West Bengal for more than a month in 2019 to inspire people. She has been closely associated with many senior doctors conducting transplants and has been invited on the board of the Kidney Care Society. Her mantra has always been live king size, die king size, and she felt it was natural choice for the name of our organization. Live King Size is reflected in her love for nature, books, poetry, music, dance, theatre, and she is part of the Sanskriti Sagar Committee in an honorary capacity at the GD Birla Sabhaga. Die King Size is reflected in her passion for creating awareness on organ donation. Nearly 5 lakh people die in India every year waiting for an organ transplant, while on the other hand, healthy organs are burnt or buried but not donated. She hopes that in a few years, no one dies for want of an organ. Over to you, Shruti ji.
Merit Management Association is a professional non-profit body affiliated to All India Management Association with the aim to promote scientific management in industry and trade. It also undertakes training and consultancy to improve managerial effectiveness and competitiveness of its members. Merit Management Association, formed in 1966, is registered under the Societies Registration Act 1860. The founder members of the association were Sri K.N. Mohan, Managing Director, Mohan Meekins Breweries, Sri Sultan Singh Jain, Managing Director, Saru Smelting, and Sri R. Sahi, General Manager, Dorala Sugar.
Thank you so much, Manish. Thank you for that very generous introduction. And I want to thank the Merit Management Association and the Wordsworth Book Club for having me here today. And I want to congratulate each one of the audience for being here today, on the virtual platform. There's a Chinese saying that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. And by being present here today, y'all have taken the first step in knowing more about this very noble cause. And first of all, I would like all of you to relax. Please don't look so anxious. We're not extracting any organs here. So just sit back and just enjoy the chat. It's only organ donation. Really, it's only organ donation. We're not extracting any organs here right now. So everyone, please keep smiling. So yes, let's begin, Manish.
We have certain questions for you, Shruti.
Yes, please.
and we'll take it up one by one. All right.
Yes,
Uh,
please.
okay, great. So our very first question is, what is organ donation and when does it become necessary?
Okay, so technically, the definition of organ donation is that organ donation is the life transforming gift to a person suffering from end stage organ disease. So that is when it becomes necessary, when a person is suffering from end stage organ failure, when nothing else has worked. No medication, no surgery is going to work. All that is going to help him or her is an organ. And on a wider aspect, I would like to say that organ donation is the highest form of donation, Jivan Dan. And yet, the beauty of it is that it asks for nothing. It does not ask for your time, it does not ask for your money. All it asks for is something that you would not be needing anymore. But that something could be the missing link in someone's life. We are talking about deceased organ donation here after we are gone. Now, we don't burn our jewelry with us when we die, do we? So, why our organs? Are they not precious enough? So, organ donation is that gift of science which our generation is privileged to have, which allows us to do good even in our going. And we'll be speaking later how we can save multiple lives even in our going. That is organ donation, the magic of organ donation.
Oh, wow. Actually, all these years, all we've heard is about eye donation.
Yes,
And that is what is mostly propagated also.
yes.
Very little about organ donation has been, but this is something which will really create a lot of awareness. And and then you've been working on this campaign since 2016. What made you start this campaign and what keeps you inspired?
Okay. So, like you said, that we had only heard of organ donation, and I was like that. I mean, I only heard of eye donation. So, it was the year 2016, and a green corridor had been made for the first time in the state of West Bengal. A green corridor is when all traffic signals are turned green, and so that fast passage of organs can be carried out from one hospital to the other where a patient needs it. My daughter was all of 16 years old that time, and this was big news. I mean, it was flashed over all the newspapers, and she said, Mom, what is this? This is so fabulous, because a 17-year-old had met with a road accident. It was a fatal road accident. And his parents had decided to donate his organs. In his going, he had made a difference to 5 lives. His 2 kidneys, liver saved 3 people, and his 2 corneas gave vision to 2 people. So the ages were so similar. She was a 16-year-old girl, and here a 17-year-old boy making such a difference. So she was very moved by this story. And she said, But mom, it's the year 2016, and how come there's such a hue and cry over the story? By now, it should have become a natural, a normal way of life by now. It's just so logical and just so wonderful. So how come there is so much of hue and cry about it? I said, well, there's a lot of lack of awareness and a lot of superstition surrounding the issue. So, and she said, Mom, can we do something to expand awareness on this issue? And that is when I contacted several doctors, and one by one, my journey took me to such interesting stories. Manish, you'll be amazed to know the stories that I have encountered on the way. And that is what has fueled my journey along this. There was an event that my daughter and I had. We connected, you know, just the previous year on Christmas. There's a family celebrating on Christmas, and imagine a 22-year-old girl suddenly has a brain hemorrhage. She's rushed to the hospital, she's in the ICU. The family is praying for her, but the doctors come out and tell their parents that she's dead, she's brain dead. There's a part of the brain, I'll explain it later. If it is gone, the body is not going to function. And the doctors asked the family if they would like to donate her organs and save other families, save other people's lives at least. And, sometimes this becomes the only sustenance for a family. Can you imagine a family of a 22-year-old girl suddenly suddenly being told that she's not going to live any longer. So the only sustenance is to try and see her live on in other people, to kind of have her around in some way. And also, in their darkest hour of grief, they want to make a difference to other people. They know the griefs that they are going through. They want to save other families from that grief of losing a loved one. So when they can make that difference, we connected these families on stage. When the kidney recipient of that daughter was on stage, and the mother, Manish, she choked when she told us she felt that she could see her daughter alive on stage.
Wow.
That kind of story. Then there was a 44-year-old when the doctor said, it was the month of November, and the doctor said that unless a liver could be found for him, he would not survive to see his son's birthday on the 1st of January the following year. And it was already November. So the family is just sitting. Can we imagine the sheer desperation, the sheer anguish of a family? It's November and they have nothing. They're just waiting for death to come and envelope that family. And suddenly on the 17th of November at midnight, they got a call from the SSKM hospital in Kolkata. A 13-year-old girl had met with a road accident, a 13-year-old girl. And her parents had decided to donate her organs. And her liver was a perfect match for him. So he lived on not only to see his son's birthday on 1st of January the following year, but he's still living on a very healthy life. And there are so many people who go back to leading normal lives. We know cases that after a heart transplant, people are running marathons. And in fact, in the UK, in the UK last year, there was an organization, it was called the Transplant Games, an event which was organized by the Olympic Federation, the International Olympic Federation. And more than 2,000 organ recipients and donors took part. And the Indian contingent returned home with 3 gold and 3 silver medals. So it is just so heartening, the stories that we've seen, the magic of organ donation. In fact, I would like to just show a little story that I have seen with my own eyes. Manish, can we have that first picture of?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Kapil, can we have that picture, please?
Kapil?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can we show that first picture? So this is the widow of the very young 48-year-old Ajay Desai, who suddenly had a brain hemorrhage. And she was frantic that all his organs be used. I was present there, and she said this to me. She said, "Unka dil kisi aur mein dhadkega, to mujhe lagega ki wo amar ho gaye." She's frantic that all his organs be used. And I would like to share a story. After 14 days, the recipient of his kidney. Can we show that clipping, please? No, I don't think it's too clear. I think I'll just tell you what's happening is that this lady, she is the recipient of one of the kidneys of that husband who passed away. She's received it and she's expressing her gratitude to the family. And she's saying that I bless the donor and his family from the bottom of my heart. And her son, this lady who's received the kidney, her son he said he's going to devote his life to spreading the message of organ donation.
Oh, that's amazing.
So, it is life coming full circle. When death, it's not an end, then death becomes a beginning because you're giving a new life. And let me tell you that you change the story, not just of one person, but of an entire family.
Right.
And later I will tell you how organ donation can, a single organ donor can save more than 8 lives and improve the lives of 50. We'll talk about that in a bit. But that is what keeps me just so motivated for this cause. And it has become the purpose of my life. Because when I see such beautiful stories, life coming full circle is just so beautiful. So that is what led me on this path.
But
Yes.
there also seems to be some kind of stigma attached to it that if we donate organs, then probably some religious sentiments
Yes. Yes.
might get.
Definitely. We'll speak about that at length.
Okay,
Definitely.
okay, great.
Yes.
So now another question we have for you. Why is it said that a single donor can save 8 lives?
Yes. So like I just mentioned, so that
Right.
is also something that really intrigued me. Now, in the beginning, you said that we'd only heard about eye donation. Why
Right.
eye donation is the most commonly known donation is because it can be done very simply at home. It's a tissue. We'll speak about it later. Now, 8 lives is because our bodies are a treasure house of organs. We have 2 kidneys. We have a liver. Sometimes the liver is divided and given to more than one person. We have the pancreas, the lungs, the heart. So, our bodies are actually a treasure trove of organs, and not just 8 lives. We can actually improve the lives of 50 to 70 people. Like you said about eye donation. In eye donation, we're not saving the life of somebody, but giving the gift of vision is something so huge. It's only when we play blindfold, that game blindfold, you play it for 5 minutes, and we'll know what it means to even donate our eyes to give the gift of vision. So, similarly, our body has many other tissues as well, apart from eyes. We have the skin, the heart valves, the bones, so many other tissues. So, if we actually add up, we can actually improve the lives of 50 to 70 people if we donate, if we count the tissues as well. So 8 and 9, when we talk about, those are the solid organs, like I mentioned, the lungs, the heart, and otherwise tissues. I mean, it's endless what the organ donation can do.
But
It's
the
really
donor
a
has to be alive.
pardon
But
me.
the donor has to be alive.
No. So, like I said here, that we are talking about deceased organ donation. What
Deceased.
people commonly know about is live donation.
Right.
For example, a kidney that is needed. A kidney is a paired organ. We have 2 kidneys. So, a live donor can think about giving a kidney to somebody. But what about a heart? We cannot donate a heart when we are alive. We need it for our own living. So, live donation only comes into play for kidneys or maybe even liver, or some portion of the liver. But I have to tell you that, laws are very strict about live donation because a lot of us have heard a lot of stories. It's actually a very nasty word. It's a nasty term called black marketing.
Mhm.
So when we talk about black marketing of organs, a lot of people shy away from organ donation, also because of this term, black marketing. Now, black marketing is illegal, and what the government has done is that it's only legal to donate. A live donor can only donate to a blood relation. Earlier what was happening is that if there was a person needy of money and he needed money maybe for his daughter's wedding, so he would think that, okay, he'll donate his liver, his kidney to somebody and get money in the process. But all that has been declared illegal, any commercialization, because organ donation is a form of donation. There is no commercial aspect to any donation, right? We donate money, food, so many things, clothes, to any organization. We don't expect a monetary remuneration for it. So it is a donation like any other. So live donation can only be done now for a blood relation. It has been expanded slightly to include the bhabi, the brother's wife. She's not technically a blood relation. And the in-laws, that is, so the in-laws are also seen as a relation which is accepted by the law. But apart from that, any other relation, suddenly some long lost friend surfaces up and to give a donation of a kidney, that is looked at with suspicion by the law to curb all this, the black marketing, the racketing that was happening. And also, like I said, live donation is very narrow because there's only that much that you can donate. You can't donate eyes, you can't donate skin when you're alive. All that can only be donated after one's death. So, what I'm talking about today, what I'm promoting is about deceased organ donation. That's why my organization is Live King Size, Die King Size. You can die king size, you can do good during your lifetime, you can also do good after your lifetime. So we're talking about deceased organ donation.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Okay, great, great, great. So, and another question we have for you is: can an aged person, family member who dies at home, be taken to the hospital to donate his organs? And what is the procedure like?
Okay, so this is a very good question. It's the most pertinent question because a lot of people are motivated to donate, so they want to know how to go about it. So your question is, can an aged member who dies at home, aged family member, can he be taken to the hospital? So my answer is that, to donate eyes and to donate skin, first of all, I want to distinguish, like I said, between the solid organs and the tissues. Like I mentioned, the solid organs, the heart, lungs, liver, kidney, these are solid organs. And then there are tissues like the eyes, the skin, the heart valves. So everyone has understood that distinction. Now, just as there are two kinds of like organs and tissues, similarly, there are two kinds of deaths. One is the regular death at home that you mentioned, an aged family member, or a sudden heart attack, or a sudden death anywhere, which is a cardiac death. That is the regular death, an aged person dying at home. In a cardiac death, what can be donated are only the tissues, the corneas, the skin, and that can be done at home itself. No one needs to be taken to the hospital. So one only needs to make a call to the eye bank. They come home, the process is carried out within 20 minutes. There is no disfigurement, and what is extracted is only the cornea, not the whole eye. And the cornea is something like a pair of contact lens. Has anyone seen, I'm sure everyone has seen a contact lens. Can we have a show of hands here? Who's seen a contact lens? Oh, wonderful. A lot of people. So the cornea is that thin. So there is just no disfigurement. People fear that there will be a gaping hole, there will be some bandage, nothing. You can't even tell, and the process is carried out in 20 minutes. My friend, she lost her husband to cancer last year, and she was very keen to donate his eyes. It was his wish as well, and she wanted me to find out, whether
Okay.
whether a cancer patient can also donate his eyes. And the doctor told me that yes, a cancer patient also can, because the cornea has no blood vessels. So the disease does not reach the corneas. So it is so fascinating. And you'll be amazed to know that earlier a pair of eyes could give vision to two people. Now a pair of corneas gives vision to up to 6 people. 6 people can benefit from one pair of corneas.
How is that? How is that?
It is again a miracle of science. They divide the cornea and they give it to 6 people, so up to 6 people. And it's such a simple procedure, because all they ask for is to keep the eyes moist till the eye bank people reach the house. Just keep some wet cotton wool or something on the eyes, that's all. And even if your city has a skin bank, not many cities in India have a skin bank yet, but the cities that do, if you call a skin bank, they come home again. The procedure is carried out so simply, like with a butter knife. The skin is just taken out by a butter knife. And even skin donation is so wonderful. It's not just cosmetic, because there are burns patients, there are patients, acid attack patients, and skin is a huge organ which protects our other organs inside. And without skin, sometimes people can die, because the internal organs are exposed to the environment. So skin is a very protective environment. So in a way, it can help to save someone's life as well. It's not used for cosmetic purposes. So it's used for such cases. So in such cases, when an elderly person has died at home, or if there's a death at home, then only the eyes and the skin can be donated. A person cannot be taken to the hospital for this purpose of donating liver, kidney, heart. He's not eligible. Now, the other organs, the solid organs, the liver, kidney, heart, these can only be donated in the case of a brain death. And a brain death, this is very important to know this distinction. A brain death is something which happens maybe in the case of a road accident, or in the case of a brain hemorrhage, those stories that I mentioned. were all about road accidents or brain hemorrhages. So the patient is rushed to the ICU. The patient is already in the ICU. The patient is put on life support, on the ventilator and other life support. But when the doctors discover that it is a case beyond repair, because a portion of the brain called the brain stem, it's a very, very essential portion of the brain, which is responsible for functions like breathing, like consciousness. Now, that is irreversibly damaged, which means the person is never going to breathe, the person is never going to become conscious, and only because that patient is on life support, artificially, the blood supply is maintained to the other organs like the liver, kidney, heart, artificially. But that also is for a limited time. In spite of keeping him on the ventilator, that person is, that the blood supply can only be maintained for 24 to 36 hours. So while the brain has stopped because of the artificial support, the heart is kept pumping artificially, but only for a limited time. Sometimes we hear of a patient on a ventilator who can even survive for a month. But those are not cases of a brain death. Those are other cases we hear sometimes. So those are not cases which every person who is on the ventilator is not eligible for an organ donation. Every person on the ventilator is not a brain death case because people come out of the ventilator. One has to even distinguish a coma case. Even a coma patient is not eligible to donate because even in a coma case, a person can come back. Sometimes there are cases of coming back after 20 years also.
Right.
So a coma patient cannot, but only when this brain death happens, when this brain stem is irreversibly damaged. And that, the doctors have a very, very specialized way. There are many parameters. Breathing is one of them, consciousness. So it's a team of 4 doctors which comes and assesses and gives their independent opinion that this is a brain death case. It is a universally accepted definition of brain death across the world since the last 50 years, since organ donation has come into being. And after a gap of a minimum of 6 to 8 hours, another team of 4 doctors comes and assesses that case again and declares that, yes, this patient is, the brain stem is irreversibly damaged and there is no chance of a comeback. Then that patient is declared brain dead. Then the doctors ask the family members if they would like to help other people suffering from end-stage organ failure. If they agree, then very quickly the organs are taken out. It is a very time-sensitive thing. Now, I forgot to mention that when we have this eye donation or skin donation at home, it is not that time-sensitive. It can be donated at home even up to 6 hours of one's death. And it can be stored in an eye bank. There is an eye bank, there is a skin bank where these can be stored because there is no blood vessel in the corneas. So it can be stored. But here, these organs, the kidneys and the liver, the lung, heart, they're very capillary rich. They're very blood rich organs. They need blood supply to be maintained or they will be of no use. So that is why time is of essence. So when this death happens in the ICU, like I mentioned, there is a green corridor created to rapidly transport the organ from one hospital to another. If that patient is, if the recipient cannot be brought to the same hospital, sometimes there is an air ambulance where it is flown to other states. The best matching could be in another state. So a heart is sometimes flown. In fact, the first heart transplant that happened in West Bengal, it was a heart flown in from Bangalore. Okay. So, yes. So, and then after the organs are extracted, the body is stitched up beautifully like in a regular surgery. And the body is handed over with the utmost dignity to the family, and the usual rites, the cremation rites and whatever the family has to carry out are carried out in the usual way. Now, this is different from a body donation. Some people, there's a difference when people pledge to donate all their organs. Right. Afterwards, we'll share the online pledge form where people can pick either all organs or they can choose whether they just want to donate their kidney, liver, heart. Normally, people want to donate all organs because if we don't have use for the kidneys after a death, we don't have use for the liver or heart either. So, they want to donate. But the fact is that it can, the pledge form will give you the option of ticking which organs are needed, but it is up to so I'll come back to that pledge form and everything later.
Sure.
But we must know that the pledge form is it is at any time one can withdraw one's pledge, and it is not a legal document. But the most important thing is to speak to the family and let them know of our wish, because one doesn't know what is going to happen, whether it will be a regular death or cardiac death or brain death. So doctors whom I'm in regular touch with, they tell me that regularly they speak to their families. And one doctor told me that every birthday when he cuts his cake, he tells his family, because the family has to know it unambiguously. He says that I tell my family that if I have a regular cardiac death, please donate my eyes and my skin. And if I have a brain death, then donate my other organs as well. So the family has to know unambiguously. And normally a family would like to carry out the last wishes of a loved one.
Very true. Very
Yes.
true.
There was a 5-year-old studying in Australia. And in Australia, it is part of the education system. So one day he came home and he told his parents that I want to be an organ donor. It was an Indian family living there, and they laughed it off. They said, "Chota sa bachcha hai, kitni badi badi baatein kar raha hai organ donation ki." They just laughed it off. After 2 years, that family came for family vacation to India, and they had an unfortunate accident. And this child, now he was a 7-year-old, they met with a road accident and this child died. He had a fatal accident, but they remembered his words, and so in their darkest hour of grief, they honored his wish, and he saved multiple lives because he had discussed about it. So, even, yeah, it is just, yes. So the distinction is between the brain death and the cardiac death, but it is, our pledge is it is our pledge to the universe. We are just expressing our gratitude to the universe that we want to donate. Now, which organs will be usable, which will not be usable, all that will be decided by the doctors at that point of time, and depending on the circumstances of our death. But by pledging, we are only expressing our wish to give back to the universe. We are only expressing our gratitude to the universe.
Oh, that's amazing. So basically, in organ donations, the body also goes with it. The entire body is also donated, is there some kind of,
So yes, so when we talk about that full body donation, some people donate to science. That is a different, the law governing that is different. In that, the body is not returned to the family, obviously, because the entire body is given for research. But what we are talking about today is organ donation, which happens in the ICU. So the organs are extracted, the body is, it is stitched up beautifully like a regular surgery, handed back to the family, and the normal cremation rites are done. So it's different from full body donation.
Yes.
So even,
we
yes.
know that is purely for research purposes.
Yes.
That is purely for research. Okay,
Yes.
Great. So now our next question would be, what are the challenges you face trying to convince people about organ donation, and how do you address them?
Okay. This is my most favorite question. And because of the challenges, of course there are challenges, and it is a challenge which keeps me motivated. Like you asked me what keeps me motivated. So because it is challenging, I say, I'm going to do this because, yes, the challenges are of several kinds. One is, of course, the lack of awareness that happens. And I also want to give you a few figures that when I started out on this path, I realized, like you said, 5 lakh people die in India every year. 50,000 people await heart transplants. Hardly 1% gets an organ in time. 85,000 people await a liver, and hardly 3% gets a liver. 2 lakh people need a kidney every year, and hardly 8 to 10,000 people receive a kidney. So the rest of them are dying every year. And that is why we say 5 lakh people die in India every year. 1 crore 20 lakh people suffer from corneal blindness. And hardly a small percentage, only 12% get a cornea. So in spite of such figures, in spite of that, there is a fear, there is a hesitation in donating our organs. I would like you to take a random guess. In India, which is such a densely populated country, in 1 million people, how many do you think is a deceased organ donor? How many in 1 million do you think is a deceased organ donor?
I don't know.
Take a wild guess.
I don't know, maybe 10, 100, I don't know. But yes, it's I think more to do with awareness and stigma attached to it.
So
Yeah.
I want to tell you, it's a figure of speech. Don't we say there is 1 in 1 million chance he'll come today? So what does it mean? It's as good as not going to happen, right? 1 in 1 million. So let me tell you that not even 1 in 1 million is a deceased organ donor in India. Is that just 0.5 to 0.8? It's that appalling. And even if we become a population that we have, make that 1 in 1 million, a lot of people are going to get benefited if that 0.5 turns to 1 in 1 million. So yes. So one is the lack of awareness. People are not aware that this exists. That is one. But apart from that, the myths that exist. So one side is a medical myths. So like I mentioned, so people have that fear. First of all, people feel that, okay, so I'm diabetic, maybe I'm not eligible. Or I'm hypertensive, or, that kind of awareness needs to come in, because doctors say that don't disqualify yourself prematurely from pledging. Nobody is disqualified from pledging, because what can be used at that point of time is something the doctors will decide depending on the health of the organ. Because a person could be diabetic, maybe his kidneys are affected, but his liver could be very healthy and the liver could be still donated. Then it's also about lack of awareness. One day I got a call at 6 o'clock in the evening. A lady said that she had lost her mother at 9 o'clock in the morning and she was very keen to donate her eyes. But, more than 8 hours had elapsed. So I just felt so bad that here was a daughter wanting to donate, but because of lack of awareness, she was unable to donate. So, these are the medical doubts. And also, like I mentioned, the fear of, as it is, death is not, it's very traumatic for a family to lose a family member. Mm-hmm. But if there is a trauma of seeing a disfigurement, it only adds to it. So people have that disfigurement, but I have that fear, but there is no disfigurement. So that is on the medical side that I address. On the religious side as well, there are so many myths that I encounter. So the most common one is, what if I'm born blind in my next birth if I were to donate my eyes? That's the most common. So I just want to ask that, we are a country that believes in दान. हम कपड़ा दान करते हैं, अन्न दान करते हैं, सोना दान करते हैं. Do we fear being born penniless in our next birth if we are giving away our wealth?
Very true.
And, when people talk about moksha, they fear they may not achieve moksha if they have donated their organ here. So I really want to ask people to just pause for a moment and ask ourselves, who is the God we are praying to? The kind Ram, the kind Krishna, Durga, Allah, Jesus, whichever God we are praying to, is he that God that we make a difference to someone, we save someone's life, we give him vision, and he is going to deprive us of vision in our next birth? He's going to deprive us of moksha? Is that the God we are praying to? Do we really want to trivialize God like this? And all these myths and misconceptions, Manish, they all revolve around organ donation. When we have to receive an organ, when we, God forbid, if we need an organ for a loved one, we will run from pillar to post, we'll move heaven and earth, we'll leave no stone unturned to try and save our loved one.
Very
So it's only at the time of giving that our mind plays tricks on us. So and also from the religious front, when we our friendly Lord Ganesh, what was it if not organ transplant when he received the elephant's head?
Right.
Our mythology is full of stories. There's a story of the Samudra Manthan. Many people have heard about the Samudra Manthan. So when there was a battle going to be between the Devtas and the Asurs, the Devtas needed a Vajra, a weapon to fight the Asurs. So there was Dadichi who donated his bones to make that weapon. So our scriptures are replete with examples of organ donation. And also I would like to share a video. Many of our religious and spiritual leaders, Sri Ravi Shankar, Baba Ramdev, Sister Shivani, Sadhguru, not only do they promote organ donation, they have pledged all their organs themselves. And if I could just quickly share a small clipping by Sadhguru, it's a very beautiful video.
Sure.
Can we have that? Yeah, but if the sound is not clear, then I'll just, let's see if it's clear. Otherwise,
let's try.
Yes.
Kapil? Yeah, okay, he's doing. Actually, the sound is an issue.
No, it doesn't matter. So I'll just tell you what he's saying.
Yes.
So Sadhguru is saying that every part of a coconut tree is useful during its lifetime and even after its lifetime.
Right.
So we can be like the coconut tree, useful during our lifetime, useful after. That is the message that Sadhguru has to give.
Yes. Wonderful, wonderful. This is great. Okay, Kapil, thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
Okay, so now our next question would be, do you think COVID has changed the thinking of people?
Oh, completely. I think COVID has, brought about a compassion and a humbleness in each one of us. It has made us realize the fragility of life. We've all realized that, it can affect any of us. We've realized how fragile life is. And we've all tried to reach out and help in whatever way we can. We know of so many people who were, who they were jobless. And so we've tried to help in whatever way. So it has created compassion around the world. And because of this value of life that we have been reminded of, I think more than ever, organ donation becomes relevant. So I'm very glad that, you're having this event right now. When this world is going through COVID, our sensibilities are heightened to an all-time, I think we're at an all-time high. Right. And the world has come together as one family. We realize that, if we can make a difference to someone, why not? So definitely COVID has affected us. It has really changed our perspective to life, I think.
Oh, very true. That's so true.
And I also want to tell you, Manish, one more thing, that apart from COVID, it is very wonderful that you are having this event, just this pre-Diwali event. This Diwali time, we are all cleaning out our homes and we find a lot of things that we don't need anymore. And a lot of us go to great lengths to make sure that we don't just throw them away. We find out about NGOs and orphanages and old age homes. We try to recycle the things that we have at home. So why not our organs? Why not recycle our organs? So Diwali cleaning also gives us a message that our bodies, have organs which can also be used. And when we talk about going green and we talk about recycling of resources, it's become fashionable to talk about recycling of our resources. So let us remember that our organs are our greatest resource. They have the power to give life. So let's not waste them. Let's recycle them.
That's amazing. Absolutely.
It's very pertinent that we are having an event at this point of time.
Absolutely. And I think it's more to do actually with the time of the year where, like you said, we need to clear all the unnecessary things that we have at home.
And Exactly, and tell me what purpose do we have with our organs upstairs? Heaven does not need our organs. What are we going to do with our organs upstairs in any case? So
I think
why
it's
not?
all family pressure. Right.
At that very point when we are going to be getting burnt or buried, at that very point somebody is dying for want of that organ. Do we really want to burn those organs is a question we need to ask ourselves.
Very true. Very true. So now, if I have a donor card, organ donor card, so like earlier also you had mentioned that it's not legally binding.
Yes.
Carry out the
So
wish.
why do I, yes, so why do I stress on still that exercise? Why that exercise of having a donor card, filling that form? Why do it at all? See, the thing is that it is a physical reaffirmation of our pledge. When we put pen to paper, or when we sign that online pledge form, we have to take out that time to sit and talk with our families and discuss with them. Otherwise, it just keeps getting put on the back burner. Most of us agree that it's a good thing, but like today, the opportunity is now. We'll share the online pledge form. If you are keen to donate it, please don't wait for tomorrow. I would say pledge your organs today, because opportunities are like sunrises. If you're late by 5 minutes, you miss them. So, so if you are not going to fill the pledge form, it just goes on the back burner. You never end up having that discussion with the family. But when you're filling a pledge form and you get a card, it reminds you to talk to your family about it. If at some time you decide to withdraw your pledge, you're most welcome to do that. But otherwise, when you filled your pledge form today, you get the card, it just makes it crystallized. It just crystallizes it. It makes it happen. And we must realize that if we want to make this a social revolution, my dream is to make this a social revolution, like changing mindsets for sati, like changing mindsets for child marriage. So a social revolution can only come about when each one of us brings about a change himself or herself. So when we hold the card, we become a brand ambassador ourselves. We inspire people around us. So it has a ripple effect. So each person becomes a brand ambassador. And that is why we stress upon having that card. It's not as if that card is going to make any difference at that point of time, but it inspires you to speak to your family and friends and get in more people to join the movement.
That is the only way this movement can actually
Gain momentum, yes.
Gain momentum. That is the only
Yes.
way.
And I have to share, yes, Manish, and I have to share that there are many countries where organ donation is compulsory. Many European countries, even UK. Spain was the first one, but there are many Western countries, even Singapore, where every citizen above the age of 21 is a deemed donor. They don't have to sign any form. It is just presumed that one is a deemed donor. So if one were to opt out for some reason, then you have to fill in a form. That is called the opt-out system. In India, what we have is an opt-in system. So there, the government gives no choice to people, and those who opt out go last on the waiting list. Should they ever require an organ, they'll be last on the waiting list. But India has not made it compulsory yet, and we must respect it because we are a country that believes in that. We don't have to make it compulsory. Giving comes to us naturally. All we need is the awareness. We've just not got around to thinking about it. We just need to give it a thought. That's all.
But we don't have any government programs basically to spread awareness or
Yes.
where government has taken it upon themselves to
I think, yes, the government does its own role, but I think that the role of NGOs and the role of organizations like the MMA Today and like the book club organization, all organizations, big, small, when we have these dialogues, these conversations, when we can remove individual doubts, afterwards I'm going to invite questions from the audience. When these individual doubts get addressed, it's so important to have these sort of events on this level as well. Then our fears get addressed.
Very true.
So often in the newspaper, there are many, but we just read it and we just skip it. We think it's not for us because our doubts are not cleared out. So it's having these kind of events which really help to break the myths. But I'm looking at having many more. If any of you would like to have further events, I'll be more than happy to have further events as well.
Certainly, certainly. Because
Yes.
I think just one event will basically introduce the concept of it,
Yes.
but more events will actually
Yes.
create a much more
Of course.
deeper
Of course.
awareness.
Yes, and now on this online platform, I mean, it has given us a wonderful opportunity to reach out. Like today from Calcutta, I'm sitting in Calcutta and addressing all of you in Meerut. So it just gives us a wonderful opportunity to reach out anywhere, So
Right.
why not expand the reach, expand everything? So like in the West, I mean, we ape the West for so many things, but in the West, organ donation is a way of life. So for something good, why not take this leaf out of their book?
Phenomenal. No, that's very true. So another question we have is, after this talk now, if people are inspired to donate, what should they do and how do they go about it? Who do they contact
Yes.
and all those things?
So yes, so if I could request you, Manish, if you could share my contact details in the chat box. So and y'all can note down my email. The email is connect@livekingsize.com. Connect@livekingsize.com, and my phone number and the online pledge form will also be shared on the chat. So yeah.
What I'll do is I'll share all these details in the group chat.
Yes, if
Because
you'll
we
have
have
your
a
yes,
lot of
you have your
we have a lot
WhatsApp.
of groups who have
Wonderful.
yes, we have a lot of WhatsApp group for each and every organization who have joined in today.
Wonderful.
So I'll share it on that.
Excellent.
So basically, people who have not joined in today can also have the benefit of
Yes, absolutely.
these details.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yes,
So all those details can be
would
shared.
better.
Yes.
Perfect. And another, the last question we have for today is the name of your foundation, Live King Size, Die King Size. Why this name, and basically what does it mean to you?
It has always been my mantra. Live king size, die king size has always been my mantra since I set out on this path. And I just feel that, life gives us so many beautiful gifts. We have nature, poetry, music, books, sports. So when we can enjoy all the gifts of life, then at the end, why not become a gift ourselves? If we can live king size, then why not die king size? So that is the reason for the name of my organization. And yes.
That is phenomenal. And can we also request you, like I mentioned earlier in your introduction, that there's a poem you recited, that was played at all the 44 Inox theaters. So if you want, you can do it now or after the question and answers. We can, whatever you are comfortable with.
Okay, I'll recite it now. It's a poem very close to my heart. And yes, we had it in every theater before the start of every movie, just before the national anthem. This poem was recited. And it goes, मुझे फूंकने से पहले मेरा दिल निकाल लेना. मुझे फूंकने से पहले मेरा दिल निकाल लेना. किसी और की अमानत कहीं साथ न जल जाए. किसी और की अमानत कहीं साथ न जल जाए. सबसे कीमती सामान है मेरा. बड़ा नाजुक है, बड़ा चंचल है, बड़ा कोमल है. संभाल कर रख लेना इसे बस. मेरे बाद किसी सुर की ताल बना देना. सबसे कीमती सामान है मेरा. मुझे फूंकने से पहले मेरा दिल निकाल लेना.
दिल निकाल लेना. Amazing, absolutely amazing. That's super. That's really awesome. And now I think we just open.
Any questions? Yes.
Open the platform for any questions. So anybody has, they can just unmute themselves and take. And okay, great. Renuka, you can just unmute yourself.
Yeah, I have. Am I audible?
Yes. Very good.
Excellent. All doubts have been cleared. You're a fantastic speaker, very motivational, I must say. But I could join only after the initial 10 minutes. So I don't know if you've covered it, but I'll just ask you. Like I'm at a certain age. So till what age are my organs fit enough to be able to go to a young person maybe, or to whoever?
Okay. So age is not a disqualification. For pledging, age or any health condition right now is not a disqualification, because we don't know. May all
Yeah.
of us be 100. And at that age, which organs will be fit, which will not be fit, is something the doctors take a call upon at that point of time. But
Okay.
usually the corneas can be used even up to 100 years of age, literally 100. The corneas can be used even if the other organs. Let me give you an example. There was a 92-year-old lady who had pledged all her organs, and at the time of her death, the doctors did not find her other organs suitable, but her skin was grafted on to a 95-year-old burns patient.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's just amazing, we should leave that to the doctors to decide. Our idea is to pledge to the universe, to express our gratitude to the universe.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I also mentioned, I don't know whether you missed that part, that even health conditions like diabetes or high blood pressure, they are not a disqualification, because the doctor take a call at that point of time, which organs are still healthy to be used.
Okay, that's clear. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one. Sorry, I have one.
Ashokji, yes.
Yeah. See, listen, I just want to know, why is this, why can't organs be sold also? It'll be allowed to sell, at least, a lot more people will get it, and it can benefit the donor also.
See, like we call it organ donation. Any donation does not happen for a monetary remuneration. We don't donate clothes to get a monetary remuneration. So it's a donation. What happens in commercialization, there's a lot of possibility of a black market existing or a racket. So, but when there is no commercial angle to it, after a person has died, his organs are of no use to him. And if his organs are just given away, what is the family going to do with those organs in any case? So, when they are given away, there is no monetary remuneration that the family is seeking. It is just for the higher satisfaction. Now, when I mentioned those stories about the 22-year-old girl whose family, they were a poor family, but they gave it for no monetary remuneration. The satisfaction they got out of making their loved one live on through other people, that was enough for them. So when money comes into the picture, it can sometimes become a very dirty game. So that's why no money, it's not a transaction. It's not a monetary transaction. It is just one human being trying to help mankind in general. It's just about helping mankind.
I think probably what he was also trying to say, Ashokji, was that a lot of times it might encourage you to donate your organs if you know that you have some kind of remuneration coming in. But like you're saying, then the black marketing will...
all that, then yes, because as it is, like I said, the life donation, today we've spoken about deceased donation, and that is what I promote. I want to also mention that as countries get more and more advanced on the path to organ donation, like in the West, all organ donations that come, 90% of them comes from deceased organ donors, only 10% comes from live. In India right now, it's reverse. 90% comes from deceased organ donations. Only 10% comes from live. Only 10% comes from deceased, 90 comes from live. So we are trying to reverse that ratio, because live donation, like I mentioned, you can only give the kidneys. So, and plus the monetary angle to it. So we are trying to reverse it to a scenario where most of the donations will come from deceased organ donation. Then for a family to charge the organs of someone who has died, I mean, think about it. Really, is that what, it's not, even a poor family does not want to, when they've lost a dear one, they don't want to sell organs. I don't think as a society we want to sell organs of someone we have lost. It is just for the humanitarian reason that we want to make other people live, not for money. At that point of time, you don't want to sell the organs of a loved one.
Just like what happens for blood donation. This blood donation is one of the biggest black marketing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Blood donation is something that can be done repeatedly. I can be a donor every 8 or 9 months. So again, there is always a chance, but this donation is going to happen only once after we are gone. So at that point, it takes us in a higher plane, so it's not about money and these earthly considerations that come in. It's just for a higher purpose of making our loved one live on through other people. That is remuneration enough at that point of time. I have to mention, Ashokji, that in terms of giving incentives, what the mayor of Bengal has done in Calcutta, they get VIP facilities. Any person who has died, who had donated his organs, so at the crematorium they get VIP facilities. Otherwise, sometimes there's a long waiting at the crematorium. They get VIP facilities at the crematorium. Moreover, the crematoria fees are waived. The fees for the cremation, those are waived. But directly charging for the organs, that becomes a direct commercialization. That is something the government doesn't want to encourage.
Yeah, but see, even something like free medical facilities for the family.
Yeah.
Anything incentive. It will increase the supply. Let's put it that way.
Yes. The government is trying to give incentives in this. Yes. So they're giving incentives in this other way, like I mentioned. So there are many other incentives that can be given, and the biggest incentive is being a good human. I say, let's move from human being to being human. I think that is our greatest incentive. Let's, being human, that is our incentive.
Any other questions we have, please?
Yeah.
I would like to ask a question.
Yes, Deep.
Hi, Shruti. This is Kumkum.
Yes. Hi, Kumkum. It's so lovely to see you here.
Yes. That was a really informative talk. Thank you. But what I want to know is, supposing somebody has donated her organs, but after her death, the family doesn't agree with that and then what does one do? She can't do anything, obviously. No, she's gone. But then...
Yeah. No, so the thing is that in India, this is not a legal document holding a donor card or signing the pledge form. It is the wish of the family that will prevail at the time. So the idea is to have regular conversations with the family, at least once a year, speak to the family and make them see logic behind it. And if they know unambiguously that you're really keen about it, then a family, like I said, honors the last wish of a loved one. Like I mentioned about that 5-year-old boy who suddenly died at the age of 7. So whether the family was for it or not, but at that point of time, because the words of that family member echoes in one's mind, they would want to honor the wish. So it is very important to have regular discussions with the family. You show them the card and you keep talking about it, not just once, talk about it several times. So it normally does work. The family might just say, no, we're not going to do it. But at that point of time, the last wish of the family member does play on one's mind, and one would normally carry out the last wish. I have seen that happen. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Shruti.
One more thing, that you have specific hospitals who are attached to it as far as the organ donations go, or is there any list of hospitals that do it in a particular city?
Okay, so there are hospitals which have the license to do the brain dead declaration, because like I mentioned, you need a team of 4 doctors, and then again so not all hospitals have that facility. I know of cases which in remote Bengal, where a death has happened and a person is rushed to the hospital. There is an ICU, but they don't have the facility to do the brain dead declaration. So a team of doctors has gone from Calcutta to that remote village to do that declaration there. Again, after 6 hours, another team of doctors has gone, and a team of doctors has gone to retrieve the organs there. Then the green corridors happen. So not all hospitals have the facility. That is true. So we are trying to, as a country, we are trying to increase that also, more and more hospitals to have that. But in modern cities, most hospitals do have the know-how. Yeah, so most of the hospitals and many of the government hospitals especially, Most government hospitals do have the license to carry it.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. Wonderful. It's been such an eye-opener. Your entire talk has been, and we can't thank you enough
I'm so glad. Yeah.
for this talk today. And if there aren't any more questions, do we have any more questions? If not, then I will request the president of Merit Management Association, Mr. Gaurav Jain, to do the vote of thanks for Shruti ji.
Thank you, Manish Bhaiya. It was indeed a pleasure to have Shruti on this topic. It was such an eye-opener. I was attending my meeting. Along with it, I was started the meeting and I was going through in and out of the meeting, and it was such an eye-opener. I felt like going on and listening to what Shruti is saying, and it being something nice enough to understand the basic concept of donation. I think so. In my entire life and entire journey, we've been taught a lot about donations and doing charity. I think so. The biggest charity is donating organs. It was such an eye opener for everyone who has joined us today, and a heartfelt thanks to the entire NGO that Shruti is running. From a small inspiration, she has come up a long journey. Along with this, I would like to thanks the entire participants who have gained the knowledge and understanding of this organ donation. Apart from this, I would like to thanks Manish Bhaiya and Wordsworth's Book Club to giving MMA opportunity and platform to talk more about on this topic.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Gaurav ji.
Thank you so much, Shruti ji, and thank you, Kalpana Grover ji, for basically connecting us to Shruti and having this amazing, wonderful event. And we certainly look, like we said earlier, we certainly look forward to more events and more talks from you, Shruti, on this particular topic.
Thank you so much.
Certainly, even
So
I would
much.
like to request on behalf of MMA, I think so, we need to have some elaborated talk on this, how the process is going to be.
Exactly.
One step is this, we have done and understand the concept of this
No, so
organ
Gaurav
donation.
ji, I would like to tell you that there is no process. You know, any donation, we have an ATG and this, there is no process, there's no ATG.
No. What exactly I'm
It's the
trying to say?
simplest.
No. What exactly I'm trying to say is that let's suppose I wish to donate my organs, right?
Yes.
Once I am gone, right? What my family has to do? What's the right channel? How they can get this thing done?
Nothing. So,
Right,
no.
something.
So it's very simple. Like, I mean, the doctors, there's nothing that we have to do proactively. In the case of the kidney, liver, heart donation, the doctors themselves will ask the family members. The family members have to do nothing, because that time, if it is a brain death, then the person is already in the ICU and the doctors will do the needful. Only in the case of eye donation or skin donation, when a regular death, all that the family needs to do is make a phone call to the eye bank. And I would suggest that the Eye Bank Association of India, if you can go to their website, the Eye Bank Association of India will give you a whole list of eye banks all over India. You can find the eye bank closest to you. Keep a few numbers saved on your mobile phones. Ask your family members to save a few numbers. Contact them in advance. Find out whether they have a 24/7 number. In Calcutta, I know a lot of eye banks. So all we need to do is to call up an eye bank. That is all the family needs to do. Call up an eye bank or a skin bank. For the rest, the family has to do nothing. The doctors themselves will ask in case it's a brain death. So there is really nothing that needs to be done. It's very, very simple. And I would like to actually have a show of hands. Who today would like to pledge their organs? I would really love to, if I could, the show of, yes, oh, wonderful. Yes. Can we have the videos on? Because a lot of people have stopped the videos.
Yes.
So I request everyone to please turn on the videos at the end. We can
we have the videos on? We can just have a lovely picture, which I'll send to you, Manish. A lovely picture of your lovely group. Okay, can we have a show of hands again, everyone? Yes. Wonderful.
He's speaking with both hands.
Wonderful. Great. So I think you've been a lovely audience, very receptive and a very sensitive audience. It's been wonderful speaking to you, and I hope to have many more events through you all if your plan, if it's a group of, like you said, even a book club, or it could be a corporate house, it could be a school, a college. So I'd be more than happy to have a talk there. Thank you so much.
Yes, I think if you are able to inspire young minds
Yes.
at the school and college level, that will go a long way in spreading this awareness.
I get such an enthusiastic response at colleges. I have to tell you, all those of you who put up your hands right now, y'all are equivalent to college students because you're young in your thinking. It's only the young minds. I find that college students, they just take up this issue. They so readily absorb it because their minds are not clouded by superstitions. So I have to compliment all of you who put up your hands. For me, you're like college students, young, youthful in your thinking. So congratulations for that.
Thank you.
And I would
Thank you once again.
thank you.
Thank you
And
so
please
much.
go ahead and fill the online pledge form today itself. Don't wait till tomorrow.
Yes, we
Sure.
certainly do that.
Yes.
And you just share it with me, and I'll
Yes.
just share it with all the people.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Stay
Thank you.
safe. Bye.